Okay, so I was getting ready to test some region code for the ICBM missiles, and I started looking out here in the ocean. I just noticed something really funky with Buildcraft's oil generator. Essentially, there's a giant ball of oil here that just generated in the ocean. It's like it's not even bothering to check whatsoever if it's above the ocean surface. Given there is gravel here, so might have some like collapse kind of nature going on there, but I don't think so. Just got that bubble going here. Let's check out some of these other oil wells over here and see if they did the same thing. Notice I'm getting some really odd latency from over here too. My console chat has been constantly spamming me, telling me that the chunk queues are taking way too long to load. And it's nothing I've done, so it's got to be one of these other mods in here. It looks like that generator. It just looks like that's a very large oil generator that seems to have acted up. I'm pretty sure this is Buildcraft. Because I did have Galacticraft in here at one point, but I don't think they generate wells like this. I definitely know it's none of the other mods, because Buildcraft's the only... Well, I got IC2 in here, but I don't think it has oil either. Yeah, that's borked. Cool bork, though. Kind of interesting to see that the two fluids aren't merging or doing anything. You would kind of expect if something like this did happen, that the oil would float to the top and then just spread out infinitely in all directions to a very thin sheet, like an oil spill. Would be something cool for me to look in here later, because I plan to implement oil wells like this later. Because as much as I like playing with mods like Buildcraft and other stuff, I can't rely on them to have oil in order for my stuff to function. I plan to do a really cool amount of stuff with oil, but yeah, actually, I'm curious. If I shoot this with a region missile, what would happen? I can tell the game just like froze a little bit there. But overall, oh, it's doing stuff. It's a thinking. It's a murdering the oil well. Yeah, downside with the region missiles, they are actually really quick on generating all their block data. However, they slow dramatically down when they go to place the blocks to prevent world lag, and well, I think it's intentional, because I think the missile hit somewhere actually over there. So yeah, well, I can shoot that again and it should disappear. And there's the impact, and it should murder the rest of that off. Now, I've yet to figure out if the new code I just implemented earlier today actually has had effect on the region missiles. But a few people have pointed out through email and Twitter and stuff like that the region missiles are not generating trees and grass. So I'm working on currently fixing that. Of course, I actually have not fixed it. As you can tell, I'll shoot this really quick. At least it's not killing off all the sand now, so there is an improvement in the code. Although not massive. The caves are also starting to generate too. But the trees, grass, everything else isn't generating. None of the Thaumcraft stuff's generating either. Caves are still here. Although I think the caves are generated inside the chunks actual code, where everything else is done after the chunk's been created. Because how it works in the code, and I can show that off really quick for people that are not actually familiar with it, is how this explosive actually works. Is when it's called to get the blocks, it iterates over all the chunks, generates a fake chunk, compares the fake chunk against the existing chunk, and then grabs all the delta changes. Delta being differences. So if the block is different, it grabs the change. Of course, trees are going to be different than the normal chunk, so it kills all the trees and grass off, and then sorts them so that they place correctly. I'm actually going to work on this a little more because this sorts towards the impact point, and people have told me that I really need to work on placing the blocks from the bottom of the world up to prevent gravel and stuff and sand falling. But my adjustment, which I thought was going to work, is after all the blocks are placed, I do a post effect. I check to make sure we're the server, I check to make sure that all the blocks have been placed, and then I attempt to call populate, which is supposed to generate all the trees, grass, everything like that, lakes, rivers, lava is also generated in that spot. And I attempted to call the modded generators, which is this code right here. None of them seem to actually be working. And I don't know if it's just this code segment isn't actually running, or I've missed something pretty major. Like I'm passing in this variable when I think this first one needs to be different. I'll work on that. When I fix it, I'll get back to you guys. But other than that, really cool. I found that oil generator bug and a beautiful ocean here. Cool secret, if any of you guys have been paying attention to Twitter, Lex Manos asked for a really cool ocean mod pack. I'm going to be working on that here in a couple weeks. I have some amazing ideals, and because I know the code so well, I may even be able to bork the world height to give you an ocean world that's higher than 255 blocks. To play with it, most likely that pack will be 100% custom mods, because I know for sure there's quite a few mods that will stop functioning when the world's been changed massively. Oh, look, tons of squid. Need to really make a mod to solve that, because that's a lot of entities in that little spot there that are all pathfinding. I know the squid's code is horrid. It uses about the same code the gas does, and when you get too many gas to one area, the server croaks. The only reason I know that is I copied the gas code to make flying drones one time. Found out quickly I had to recode my drones. Because when you got like 12 to 15 of them in an area, server just stopped wanting to function. But yeah, that's it for the moment. I'll get more videos to you guys later. I should be getting ICBM stabilized here in the next few days. I'm essentially down to recipes, which I've spent all day working on. I have this new command I've been working on. This only runs in dev mode. You can flip dev mode on by adding -d development equals true to your arguments for launching, and it fixes it. Right, so this will run. I may add configs to load this later, but most of the dev commands only run client-side because I call a lot of client-side code. If you try to run them server-side, it will stop working. But you can call v, debug, recipes, ICBM, missing. This will detect every block in the mod that has missing recipes. In theory, what I can also do is say, since I know I have Thumbcraft installed, I think we'll try Industrial Craft. I believe Industrial Crafts is just IC2. Nope. Downside is I actually don't know half the mod names. Try Open Computers. Let's see how much video time I got left on this video. Cool, I've got a couple minutes, so let's actually go and find the names for these. I keep a list of every mod I support, directly, indirectly, or plan to support. Actually in a list. If I can remember where the list is. There it is. Open computers. It's case sensitive. That's probably why it wasn't working. One downside is I programmed a lot of these commands to function. Here we go. And that name has collars in it. That's interesting. But it looks like you can't get recipes for the switch block. Most likely there's a counter recipe for it. Access point, robot, and computer case creative. But yeah, you can use that command if you ever want to flip it on. It will tell you any mod with missing recipes. It'll tell you how many recipes are here, which we got mapped 37 entry points. Now these recipes are cached. I plan to use them for auto crafting later. I'm going to work on, because the old auto crafter I had an assembly line a couple years ago. It worked, but it had poor performance. Because if it constantly kept running, you would notice like a 3 or 4% impact on your server performance. The new version I'm planning is going to have almost a 0%. And by 0, I mean so small that you don't notice it, because in reality, everything has an impact. But it'll go from Oh, looks like my night vision's wearing off. I was like, I always wonder why that flashing happens. I might actually look into why that happens one of these days. Other than I know it's caused by the fact the night vision potion wearing off, but it's a really cool render effect. And I think if I grab that and then amplify it, I could really screw you guys up with a flashbang grenade. But other than that, I'm gonna fix the regen missiles today, gonna do the recipes, and hopefully get you guys a stable build here. So yeah, thanks for the support, etc., etc.